found on Amazon Prime. I originally was looking for a new country, a new location to do our next Dumb White Americans Watch Foreign Movies feature.
We're dumb.
We're dumb. And I figured Russia, and I went there initially intending to get, just easy, a layup. I'd get one of the Night Watch or Day Watch movies. We've all seen them before, so it wouldn't be that onerous of a task. Plus, I love them, you hate them, so, we'd have a lot of sparks. A lot of fireworks.
I didn't hate them, I just had problems, and I hate the fact that everybody jumps all over me when I point out the problem.
But I started scrolling a little bit on Amazon Prime. I'm looking at all the Russian language movies, and I see the title T-34, and I know what that is. The only reason I know what that is because I played World of Tanks. You talked me once upon a time, years ago, into playing World of Tanks, and I spent probably about a year and a half, just like with every free moment, just playing and playing. I spent a lot of money because I'd buy those promotional tanks.
Hell yeah.
You are the same way somebody can be like a Civil War buff or a World War II buff. You're kind of a tank buff, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
You get like tank boners.
Yes, I am a tank fanboy.
There you go. And that was further heightened by also spending many, many hours and days and weeks of your life playing World of Tanks, correct?
Loved every minute of that game, man. I was almost good at it for a while.
I was almost good too, and I'm not like a superstar gamer where I sit down and kick ass at a game. Just every maybe 8 dozen games or so, I'll just have some innate natural ability, and I felt that when I was playing World of Tanks.
Doesn't it feel great when you just single-handedly almost completely win the game yourself?
I liked being the spotter, and I'd watch YouTube, and I'd study up, and I'd see what these, for each map, what the best spotting positions are, and I'd have the little bitty fast tank, and I would zip so damn fast ahead of everybody else, and I'd get set up in that little bush, and I'd just be racking up points spotting, and I loved just sitting there for 10 minutes just going, he, they don't know I'm here. For some reason, I just, the scout spotter role, I just loved. Now, a thing that I never did get proficient at or have much in the way of playtime was the heavies.
Right.
And the heavies are where it gets the most tankiest, where angling your armor, setting up on a corner, scraping, strafing, that kind of thing.
Oh, I could side scrape like a boss with the T1 because everybody sees those giant sides, but they're also really flat. And if you side scrape just right, everything will bounce.
Bong. Yeah, you get those deflections. But heavies were the sexy tanks. You'd see the Russian T-72. That tank, its profile, the way its turret looks, that's gotta be the sexiest tank in the world.
Oh, yeah. Some just look like deadly dangerous machines when they're driving around.
I know. You'd see them on the battlefield and just be like, oh my God, the guy driving that has got to be so cool. So after I watched the movie, my first thought was, damn, I'm so glad I stumbled upon that. And I've watched a couple of duds, not necessarily Russian, but other things. I'll try something out and I'll watch it, hoping that I'll be able to recommend it, and maybe it doesn't work out that well. But I watched this movie and I was just like, yes, this worked out well. And I'm trying to talk y'all into and goad y'all into watching it so we can get this recording done. And the thing that I had to compare it to was Fury. So I made a couple of comparisons about, in a lot of ways, T-34 is better than Fury. And so Fury, Brad Pitt, Shia LaBeouf movie, we've all seen it.
Oh, yeah.
It was good, but it was actually a damn good movie.
It was a solid, good tank porn movie, man.
Yeah, that was the most tank-porniest thing I'd ever seen. It was good in so many ways. And you said, okay, Fury's great and all, but go check out The Beast. The Beast is great.
Oh, The Beast was awesome.
I didn't know that Jason Patrick was the main guy and Stephen Baldwin was farting around. He was one of the tank crew members. As awesome as it was seeing the T-72 in action, they spent so little time inside the tank with the tank crew compared to Fury, for example. It wasn't an inside the tank kind of movie. It was all the shit was happening outside the tank, or their heads popping up out of the tank. Get those cameras in the tank, show me them working, show me them firing.
In a lot of ways, yeah. Well, they were showing from both perspectives.
It was Rambo 3. The Afghanis were the heroes and the evil Russians, which, they were probably evil Russians in Afghanistan. They did some evil shit. But the whole point of the movie was that Jason Patrick is, Dances with Wolves, or Jake Sully from Avatar. It was good to see a lot of that movie, but it did have some problems, I thought.
I think, unlike Fury and T-34, the tank was a character, not the main character.
All right, I just had a thought pop into my head. Let's go old school and talk about Tank. James Garner, C. Thomas Howell.
Yes. Yes.
It's probably been at least 25 years since I've seen that movie, but we probably both have seen it at least a dozen times, right?
Oh, sure. I remember Tank, yes.
Yeah, James Garner gets pissed off. I don't remember if he was reserve or active duty or retired, but for some reason, something happened. Somebody messed with his son.
It wasn't a tank he got off the base. It was like his personal tank that he'd been refurbishing or something, because it was a Sherman. And this was in the 80s. Nobody still used Shermans then. So it was like in his backyard or something.
And he ended up fucking up the Buford T. Justice, sheriff of the town, because he was corrupt as hell. And basically it's the same plot as Convoy, except instead of a semi, he's in a tank. Which makes it kind of awesome. That's a pretty goddamn good movie. I haven't seen it in so long, and I'm making a note to myself that I'm going to watch it in the next week. Another thing, Kelly's Heroes, very
wonderful tank movie.
Tank-heavy movie.
Yeah. Not about the tanks, but a lot of tank stuff going on.
And not only was it just a badass Clint Eastwood, Donald Sutherland, friggin' Telly Savalas movie, but the tank was a big part of the shit going on, the strategy, the scheme, the caper they got into.
It was 3 tanks. It was Donald Sutherland's whole unit.
And they acknowledged just the overwhelming superiority of a tiger, right? Wasn't the tiger like the big bad in that movie?
Oh, yeah. They were the big bad. That's why the whole plan hinged on them being able to creep up behind them, because, once again, that's the only place you can... Yeah,
if they went head-to-head with a tiger, they'd get... So, okay, all right. There have been some, but not nearly enough tank-related movies. So here comes Russia with T-34, and... there's always a danger when trying to convince you to watch something of overhyping it. So I was a little bit worried about overhyping it. And I did. I hyped it a lot to you. Did it live up to the hype?
I think it did. It absolutely did. Certainly the best tank movie I've ever seen.
There we go. Okay, good. All right, we have reached concordance.
The action was solid, and there was enough of it.
And it was very, like, the tactics, the mechanics of driving a tank, of fighting another tank, of angling your tank. These things were highlighted in, like, really obvious and yet story-related smooth ways. Fury, did they really get into angling the hull of your armor so shit would bounce? Did T-72 get into that at all?
You keep calling it T-72. It was the Beast.
Oh, the Beast, I'm sorry.
The most tank tactically thing they did is when they were fighting the Tiger, and they had to send the guys around the side because they were trying to get up into the backside of it where they could plant the shell through the armor.
I did like how the Tiger just showed up and, like, raped face on everybody. That was fucking cool.
Oh, yeah. That's just what a Tiger would do when you could actually, get it to work. That was the main problem, is most of the Tiger force was in the shop all the time.
All right, so in T-34, the opening scene was the dudes driving around in the truck, dodging tank missiles.
Yeah, which was a great scene, I thought. A little unrealistic, but a great scene. It was very tense.
It was a good opening, and it showed, like, we're going to be doing some badass bullet time, slow down stuff, while also showing, like, some nice old school World War II tankage. So it was a good way of introducing, like, what we were in for. That was good.
Yeah.
The same time frame, a couple of days later, comes the hero moment, the enemy at the gates. You know what I'm talking about? Enemy at the gates?
Oh, yeah.
Where he's just, like, thrown into this world of shit, impossible situation. And, it turns out this guy's a fucking sniper. And he, like, completely, like, wrecks, like, a whole... Yeah, the same thing happens in this movie. Like, this guy's a really shitty lieutenant, the way he's talking to all these experienced, heavily mustachioed men,
Yeah, he's just out of tank school.
Yeah, they think he's a complete asshole. And then he gets into that first real battle and just... Yeah, he
just destroys, man. He just destroys with his old style T-34 in there. Oh, my God.
Well, and at that point in the movie, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wait, so this Russian tank's going up against these German tanks? And I knew in my head just a little bit that, German tanks superior. But then I did a little bit of wikiing, and when the T-34 came out, the T-34 was like a revelation. It's credited as being the tank that won World War II. When it came out, it went up against those Panzers, the Panzer IIIs and the Panzer IVs. That's probably what he was hitting that convoy. They were probably driving the Panzer IVs.
I think that was Panzer IIIs. I think there was a 38T involved, and it was a Panzer II.
And the T-34 came out and f***ed them up, and it took a few years for the Germans to like crank up the industrial mechanism and actually overcome the technology of the T-34.
It did, but I think it got oversold a bit. As you might know from playing World of Tanks, if you can't penetrate front armor, that doesn't mean you lose the fight. The Germans still did just fine, and they still kept advancing, despite how superior the T-34 was.
Well, a lot of what the little bit of Wikipedia I read is the Panzers, up until that point, didn't have wide enough treads or enough like concentrated in their drives to deal with like the soupy shit that the Russian steppes turned to mud because of all that snow and water. So the T-34 had like some superior mobility.
It did.
The opening battle, they're like, we're pulling back. The Germans are overrunning our entire friggin' line. They're like blitzing us. So we got one T-34. You're going to get in this brand spanking new tank commander. You're going to take this rugged, wily, experienced crew of veterans, whip them into shape and get them in that tank, and you're going to stop the advance. You're going to go and fight like a dozen friggin' German tanks. And we're going to give you one troop of infantry. And the infantry sergeant, first of all, he shows up with a Hitler stash. And probably at that time, it probably hadn't filtered through to like that Hitler stashes are bad and unfashionable because, you know.
At the time, it was a Charlie Chaplin mustache.
Yeah, it was probably still cool. But the scene where the convoy is creeping up, and the guy's hiding somewhere. You don't know where yet. And he's watching them.
Yeah.
And the sergeant sticks a log with a pot on it out of an opening.
Yeah.
And gets them to say, tank turret, rotate, and, you know, engage. And he basically gets the entire convoy to turn side on to their ambush, which I thought was just freaking awesome. And then he fires that goddamn first shell and does a Quigley down under maneuver.
Kelly, why the hell didn't you stop?
Bastard's been sitting up in the rocks all morning just waiting for two idiots to line up in his sights.
Shot it through the two tanks at once, yes.
I actually had to rewind that scene because it was a little bit choppy. Something explodes, and then they immediately go into reverse, where they reverse the trajectory of the shell through the two tanks and then back into the haystack.
Yeah.
That was so cool. That was so goddamn cool.
I was a little like, wait, what? At the beginning, but then when the reverse finally came back to the gun, I was like, okay.
Oh, that just happened.
Oh, that was brutal.
That was such a good way to open that battle.
I loved in that battle, they're showing the danger that infantry poses to the unsupported tank when it's hiding in the shed at the one point and they're throwing the flamethrowers and the potato mashers at them. The tanks aren't invincible, and they did a pretty good job of showing that.
The gong that would happen whenever they got deflected.
Oh, yeah.
I'd not seen that movie before.
They really went in on what a hellscape it is to be inside the tank when things are shooting at you.
Fury did a decent job of that, but this movie just, the way they were able to just be inside the tank and show how shitty and sweaty and noisy and uncomfortable, and I thought that was just awesome.
It felt very real. There had to be some like actual tankers in there advising.
So the opening thing, they later actually said in the movie that it was November 1941. This is when the Germans were pushing on Russia, and Russia finally started pushing back.
Right.
And then they had a time jump where Homeboy was in prison for at least 3 or 4 years, and then they come back. And in that intervening time, Germany's like, oh yeah, well, fuck you. Here's our goddamn Panther tank. And technologically just made this leap ahead of the T-34. And so by the time they're in prison and they're doing their whole Dirty Dozen thing and they're like refurbishing the T-34 they had, the wrecked T-34, by that point, the T-34 was like almost obsolete. Isn't that basically what happened when the Panthers came out?
Well, sort of. The one they got in prison as their practice tank was the upgraded model of the T-34, which was built specifically to fight the Panthers. If you noticed, it had a bigger turret. And that's because it was carrying the 85 millimeter gun as opposed to the 76 that they had in the opening fight.
And you did visually notice that where in the opening fight they had the smaller?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I know my tank types, man.
Oh, cool. Good.
And the 34-85 had the bigger turret, the bigger gun, and I believe a bigger engine, which they showed off when they did their little tank dance in front of the Germans, which I loved.
And I mean, there was not a Tiger to be seen in this movie. Was this all pre-Tiger?
They would have come out concurrently. Panthers and Tigers, I think, came out at about the same time. Panthers would have been more numerous.
Panzer means tank in German,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And then Panther is more like us calling like Russian fighters MiGs, even though they don't call them MiGs, or maybe they do. I don't know.
Oh, no, the Germans did call them Panthers.
Did they call them Panthers? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, their current top-of-the-line tank is called the Leopard. They just, that's like a German thing. They always name it after some sort of deadly cat.
Is it just coincidence they sound alike?
They're just similar-sounding words, I guess.
Gotcha. When the original tank battle happened, before the tank battle kicks off, they zoom in on a German sticking up out of a tank commander. He commands the platoon. And he's all talking and saying stuff like, I can't wait to go home. Haha, let's go do it. And I'm like, why are they taking away the big bad villainness of like the evil tank? Like in Fury, you never saw that. You just like, oh, here comes the tiger. And it's like,
They were faceless bad guys.
yeah, it was like the Darth Vader of tanks in Fury. In this, I'm like, why are they're really messing up here? But it actually made sense because it turns out that guy specifically, Jaeger, and I didn't even recognize him at first because he shaved his beard off.
I figured it had to be him from the scars on the side of his face.
It took me a minute, but yeah, that guy is an important character in the movie, so that's why they did that.
And I like that he was named Jaeger.
Which means hunter.
Yeah, I kept waiting for him to say Arbeit bei mir. Which is German for works for me.
And then a slight moment of elation when his mustachio driver was still alive and he picked him for his tank crew.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Mustache Man was there.
And by that point, after living through that battle, he was like, yeah, this guy's the shit. He was on board after that battle.
He knows how to drive tank. He drive tank good. They get Angry Guy and they get Doofus as their other two guys, but I guess you don't have a whole large pool to draw from.
They're kind of like the interchangeable tank crew guys. Two guys without enough hair to be distinctive.
Grow a mustache, goddammit.
Grow a goddamn mustache, why don't you?
I liked how the plot went where it was like, you climb into T-34 tank, you clean it up, and then he finds like 6 shells in the T-34.
Yeah.
And easily explainable, nobody wanted to go into that tank because that tank was a goddamn charnel house. It was like dead bodies that had been like rotting in pieces for the last like few weeks, and nobody wanted to get anywhere near the damn tank. And so he covers his nose and crawls in there and, oh, hey, what's this? 6 shells.
Yeah, plus it was a new tank design. It's conceivable they emptied the primary magazine and that was the backup.
That all was perfectly plausible. The main character, tank commander, lieutenant guy,
Nikolai.
yeah, I thought he was well casted. He looked like a main character hero kind of dude.
He had the smoldering intensity traits like Rock did in Jumanji.
So when the Dirty Dozen breakout Great Escape happens and they start enacting their plan, once they started rolling in that tank and then the smoke started coming up out of the trees, wasn't that like the most exciting, uplifting sequence ever?
Oh, God, yeah. You're so on board with them. You feel like you're in the tank.
And, I mean, they're zipping around behind the trees, and then they come creeping up on the tower, and only Jaeger notices them. And, the shell going into the tower.
Oh, my God, and the super slow motion is just coming right for his face, and you're like, oh, my God.
In the face! And you're thinking, Jaeger's fucked now. This was his plan. This was his idea.
My question about Jaeger is, how the hell was he still in command of anything?
After what, his first battle or after?
His first battle, he lost like 7 tanks to a single T-34. I mean, he lost his entire unit.
Technically, didn't they win the battle? Technically,
yes, but his entire unit was destroyed, and nobody looks favorably on that. And then he comes up with this cockamamie scheme.
Stop this cockamamie shit. Cockamamie, that's a word your generation hasn't embraced yet. Cockamamie. Yeah.
That allows a tank loose in the middle of Germany to just go and start smashing things. He should have been so fired. Is he Hitler's nephew?
I thought it was funny when they finally made their break and they were heading out the gates that Jaeger friggin' draws his Luger and runs out.
And he's firing.
He's shooting at the tank. If there's anybody at all within like 100 miles who would know how useless and futile that maneuver was, it'd be Jaeger.
He was enraged. He was enraged, and that's all he had. He couldn't. I do love during the breakout, though, where they decide to go out through the parking lot. And they just jump the tank into the parking lot and just start smashing cars.
It's like airborne for about a second and then lands on all these fine-looking, perfect German vehicles and just tears them up.
Yeah, it was just so brutal.
And then shortly thereafter, they're like cruising down the road and they come upon that little German gas station.
That, and also Anya had gotten out of the prison separately, and she just steps up to the bus stop, and a T-34 pulls up, and she's like, "Bye, ladies."
They weren't going for comedy as a whole. That was not the tone, but the few times that they tried it, they actually like hit it out of the park usually. Next note I have is CGI issues. A lot of the movie, I know they actually had at least one functioning T-34, so they didn't have to CGI the tank.
They had at least two because that was two different variants.
Okay. They did a really, really good job, but then occasionally, and I can't really ding a movie for this, but I just, I'm going to mention it, is like when Yeager was in the spotter plane and the spotter plane was flying.
Yeah. But
then you could tell they spent all their time and money on those awesome bullet scenes.
Oh, God, yeah.
Those were so good.
And just the way the particle effects went. When it would hit, all those sparks would go in all the directions. And it looked so perfect.
When they leave Anya behind and they're slowly creeping up into that town, they know that an ambush is waiting for them. They have no doubt.
Oh, yeah. They have to pass through there.
So they cut to Yeager. I think he was sitting up out of the turret, and they had night vision.
Yes. Yeah, I was surprised about that.
My head was like, oh, wait, really? Really? World War II? So I did a little bit of Googling, and yes, here's the paragraph that I came upon. This is good.
Interesting. Okay.
Night vision devices were introduced in the German army as early as 1939, and we're talking about like 44 here, the movie, and were used in World War II. AEG started developing the first devices in 1935. In mid-1943, the German army began the first test with infrared night vision, and in German, that's Nachtjager. Night vision devices and telescopic rangefinders mounted on Panther tanks.
Wow.
Yeah, so their first real-world applicability of night vision on, tanks, at the very least, was on specifically the tanks they had in this movie. So I thought that was just cool. When I looked that up, I'm like, oh, wow, they know exactly what they're talking about with the tank technology.
That is a crunchy detail right there, I got to say. I'm impressed.
He had that one scene where they bounced the fragmentation round, not the armor piercing, but they bounced the fragmentation round off the pavement.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. That was cool.
That's not like impossible, right? That wasn't like complete movie magic or anything, was it?
I wouldn't imagine it is.
Cool.
Try it out because the frag's not going to penetrate, at least not the front armor, so they had to try something.
They did something a little bit crazy and inventive.
Yeah, I was impressed that it actually bounced. I figured they were just going to shoot it at the ground and have it like explode underneath.
One of the coolest scenes of this movie, chock full of really cool scenes. Ambush happens, dodge, angle your tank, drive through this building, etc.
Oh, I know what you're talking about here, yeah.
So they're busting through buildings. As one would do, you don't just crash through a friggin' building or a wall. You turn your turret backwards. That way you're not up your turret. So they're driving through a building with their turret facing 180 degrees behind them. They started cranking and cranking and cranking.
They're cranking. Oh, my God.
They took their time with that scene, too, because they're both just racing and racing and racing to get those barrels pointed at each other.
You could just feel the panic going on in both tanks.
That was such a well-crafted moment. I thought that was just the best.
And when he did get the shot off, he put it right in the gap between turret and body of the Panther.
My only problem with that scene is why didn't they just have the tank be decapitated? Just pop that top. They should have had the top pop.
That was probably the best single shot of the movie. That was epic as hell. I was cheering.
So Yeager and Nikolai, their tanks were face to face. They were the last two in the town. Then they come to an accord where it's like, oh, you want some of this? Yeah, I want some of this.
Yeah.
Did you think about Footloose when they were on the bridge? They were having a footloose tractor showdown with tanks.
Oh, no, you spoiled it. I was thinking of like armored knights having a joust.
No, it was footloose. It was they were in tractors. It was awesome.
Oh, no.
They both know that neither of them are going to fuck around. They're able to make agreements with each other because they both actually kind of know each other. They're like the ultimate like nemesis of each other. All right, let's back off. And no, I will not run away. We're going to meet on this bridge and settle shit like tank commanders, like men.
Yeah.
So they line up on each side of a goddamn bridge and charge each other. And
I loved it because it just showed that at their core, whatever side they're on, they're both tank commanders first and foremost. And they will take their tank into battle, and they will prove who is the best.
And T-34 had 1 round left at that point? 1 round left.
Yeah, they had 1 round.
And then rammed off the bridge, teetering on the edge. And Nikolai, being like a complete bro, is like, yeah, we're enemies, but I respect you. So yeah, here's my hand.
I thought for sure Jaeger was going to pull some evil Nazi stuff and try to drag him off the side.
And not only did he not do that, but he didn't even want to hand up. He fully intended to go down with his ship. He just wanted to shake the hand of the man that kicked his ass.
Yeah, which I
Wasn't
loved,
that cool?
man. I loved that. If you're a tank commander, that's how you want to go out, you know?
That was pretty badass. And then after all that awesomeness, after you're just sitting there in your chair just going, holy shit, oh, that was so cool. Then how do they cap the movie off? How do they end it? They have the Sound of Music ending.
Yeah, which was a little unusual. I didn't expect any of them to get away, and everybody got away.
They ran off into the mountains, and they were carrying the injured guy, and they all started spinning around singing like Julie Andrews. So this movie is going to fall into the category of one of those ones that not nearly enough people have seen, and most of the people that you engage in conversation about cool movies, let alone cool tank movies, will not have seen it. And you're going to be like, dude, go see it. And they're not going to go see it, but they should see it.
Oh my God, yeah, they totally should see that.
I'm hoping this video that we're doing right now will actually help bolster the acclaim of T-34, because it's not a, it's been a couple of years since it came out. We need to pump it up.
Oh, this movie so needs to be seen.
I know, because there's a lot of people out there who probably don't know that they're into tank porn. They just haven't been exposed to enough tank porn, you know?